One investor became so powerful, he nearly bankrupted France. And the crazy part? His financial scheme sounds remarkably familiar. Cheap money, a booming stock market, people getting rich overnight. Everyone convinced prices could only go higher. Until suddenly, they didn't. Welcome to History in 60, where the past has an uncomfortable habit of sounding a lot like the present. And this is the story of John Law, the gambler who convinced an entire country that he could make everyone rich. It's 1715. Louis XIV is dead. He leaves behind Versailles, decades of war, and a French government drowning in debt. France desperately needs a solution. Enter John Law, a Scottish gambler, mathematician, convicted murderer, seriously, and financial genius who had a radical idea. France needed a bank, but more importantly, France needed paper money. At the time, much of Europe's money was tied to gold and silver. Law argued that paper currency could expand commerce, increase lending, and revive France's struggling economy. And initially, it worked. Law established a bank that issued paper notes. Credit became easier, commerce expanded, confidence returned. And Law became one of the most powerful financial figures in France. But then, he went much further. Law took control of a trading enterprise that became known as the Mississippi Company. It received enormous commercial privileges over France's territories in North America, especially Louisiana. And Law began selling shares. Investors went crazy. Stories spread about unimaginable riches waiting in America. Gold, silver, land, trade. Fortunes waiting to be made. People rushed to buy the stock, and as prices rose, more people wanted in. The shares that had traded around 500 livres eventually soared to roughly 10,000 livres. Fortunes appeared almost overnight. Paris was consumed by speculation. Ordinary people suddenly dreamed of becoming rich. And John Law wasn't just running the company anymore. He was helping run France's financial system. There was just one problem. The wealth everyone thought they had wasn't really there. The company's American empire wasn't producing anything close to the riches investors imagined. Meanwhile, Law's bank had issued enormous amounts of paper money. More money chased the same assets. Stock prices exploded. And eventually, people started asking the most dangerous question in any financial bubble. What happens if I cash out? Investors began selling shares. Others tried converting their paper money back into gold and silver. But there wasn't enough precious metal to satisfy everyone. Confidence cracked. Then it collapsed. The Mississippi Company's share price plunged. Fortunes disappeared. People who thought they were rich discovered that their wealth existed largely on paper. France's currency was thrown into chaos. And John Law, the man who had once been celebrated as the financial savior of France, fled the country. He left disguised and with little of the enormous fortune people believed he possessed. And here's what makes the Mississippi bubble fascinating. John Law wasn't completely wrong. Paper currency? Central banking? Using credit to stimulate an economy? Those ideas would eventually become foundations of the modern financial system. His mistake was believing that confidence could be expanded almost indefinitely. Because when people believe an asset will keep rising, they stop asking what it's actually worth. They buy because everyone else is buying. Prices rise because prices are rising. And eventually, reality sends the bill. That's why a financial disaster from 300 years ago still feels strangely familiar. Every generation thinks its boom is different. Stocks, real estate, .com companies, crypto, AI. whatever comes next. The asset changes, the technology changes, the story changes. But human behavior? Not nearly as much. Fear of missing out becomes more powerful than fear of losing money. Until suddenly, everyone wants their money back at the same time. And John Law learned something in 1720 that markets have been relearning ever since. A financial system runs on confidence, and confidence can disappear much faster than it appears. That's History in 60. If you like discovering the stories behind the forces still shaping our world today, like, subscribe, and follow for more History in 60.